Hello and welcome to my channel Inspiring Life Changes. My name's Colette and this is a tarot reading today for all Capricorns out there. It's a reading for Sun Capricorn and those that may have their Sun in Venus, or their Venus, should I say, in Capricorn, their Moon in Capricorn, or their Rising is Capricorn. If as a Sun Capricorn this doesn't resonate with you, because it's a general read and it's not going to resonate with everybody out there, not all Capricorns are going to be able to connect to this, then I would suggest that you look up the reading that is for your Moon, Rising and Venus. And if you don't know which sign any of those planets are in, I will be putting a link below in the description for you to go and check them out. It's a free astro birth chart website. So with that being said, I will be pulling your first card. Actually, I did this reading a couple of days ago, but for some odd reason it didn't actually record, so I'm going to redo it and hope that this time it's going to come out and I'll be able to put it out there to you. So the first card that I got out for you, Capricorns, is this beautiful card here. To me it looks like there's an angel hiding behind that tree for whatever reason. But the card itself, these are the Namaste Blessing cards and they're done by Tony Carmine Salerno. So that's the box for them. But the card itself is a blessing of gratitude. And it says, be grateful for all your experiences, for all in life serves a purpose. There is a blessing in all that did or didn't happen. There is a blessing unfolding this very moment. Listen to your heart and follow its wisdom. Be mindful, for the journey is as important as the destination. So it's saying, trust your heart. Your heart knows where it wants to be. Your heart knows where it needs to go next. Believe in it, trust in it, but enjoy the journey of getting to where you want to be. The main part of your tarot reading has been done with the Greek Mythic Tarot deck, which was created by Juliet Sherman Burke and Liz Green together. And the first card that came out for you here is the Page of Pentacles. And the Page of Pentacles says to me that this is about a new, young, shall we say, a young energy. All the pages are a young energy that needs to kind of grow and mature. But this particular card, I always liken it to seedlings being planted for your future. So it's really kind of planting your future in the now, because now's the only time that you can actually make a difference. So that's what he's done here. He's got his pentacle in his hand. He knows the worth of it, and he's planting his little seedlings for his future. But when I was reading this the other day, I got a very strong feeling about this whole reading, in fact, Capricorn, that it relates to a younger person who is having to leave the safety of what he knows. And the reason I say that is because what's in your head and what you're aware of, again, another page, so another younger energy. But these trees here, often for me, because it's cups, it's emotions, it can relate to relationships. But the feeling that I was getting the other day, and I'm going to read it the same way, is that these trees here are about protection. It's about protecting this young energy, or this young child down here, who's known as Narcissus in this tarot deck. And Narcissus wasn't allowed to look at his own reflection because his mother was told by a seer that if he did so, there would be problems. So she kept all mirrors away from him, and he never saw his own reflection until he stumbled into this wood and found this small pool and fell in love with himself. So this card also talks of early stirrings of love, of being able to love yourself, of like a healing as well. But I think in this particular reading, for somebody out there, this is about a young child who is possibly, I think, leaving home to go out into the world. That's the feeling I get from this particular reading. And this is in your head and what you're aware of. And one of the reasons I say that is because underneath all this, the root core, where this is coming from, is the Six of Swords, but this is reversed. If it was up this way, I would say that this person here is heading towards their future, full steam ahead. They know where they're going, what they want to do. They're quite content with it. They're serene, even though it might be a bit turbulent inside and a bit kind of worried up and stirred up. But this card is reversed. And for me, it means that there's something that this person doesn't want to leave behind. There's something that they're still holding on to. There's a feeling of reluctance here. There's a feeling of I don't really want to go there. And there being kind of this future, this kind of calmer waters and this kind of serene, this city here, which is like on the rocks here, which is where he's heading for. He doesn't really know where it is, he just knows that he's going there. But because it's reversed, and because it's coming out with the Page of Pentacles and the Page of Cups over the top, I get the feeling quite strongly that this is about a younger person. And I get the feeling as well, quite strongly, I mean, this could also relate to a situation of not wanting to move forward in life over something that's been like an unresolved argument or something as well. This could have something to do with an unresolved argument, which isn't for all Capricorns out there, but I get the feeling that it could be for some of you. But what's moving away is this Knight of Cups. Now the Knight of Cups is a true romantic. He's a really sensitive soul. And I think that's the key issue here with this particular reading. If I'm reading it in the context of this being a young child needing to leave home, or maybe more than one Capricorn is needing to leave home, or maybe this is a message for Capricorn parents as well. I don't know exactly how it's coming through, Capricorns, but this is a young sensitive. The Knight here is a real romantic. He's a real dreamer. He really kind of believes that in the idyllic, that things are almost to the point of fantasy, almost to the point of like wanting to live in his own fantasy world and not wanting to go out there and face the harsh reality, which I think is kind of what this Six of Swords is saying here as well, that this reluctance is because this character does not want to face the world. And this fish here always reminds me, or always kind of speaks to me, of being like literally like a fish out of water, like feeling that you don't fit in, that there's this kind of feeling of like being different, and because he's a gentle, sensitive soul, that, you know, others may not be able to relate to that energy as well. Childhood could have been difficult too, in the sense of being outside in school time could have been harsh, because we tend to have to kind of harden up and take the knocks, and sometimes it's a difficult thing to do. So that's what this card is saying to me. And what's moving in as that moves away, we have the Hierophant, which is another reason why I think that this card is, or this reading should I say, is about somebody leaving home to go and find their true purpose and their true meaning in life. It's like, this is the this is Chiron in the Greek mythic tarot deck, and he represents not the conventional Hierophant, as in kind of most tarot decks we would see this as being the Pope, and the Pope as being kind of the conventional religious type of viewpoint. But this card is about finding your own path. It's about looking for your own answers. Here he has this scroll, and this scroll is kind of saying that there is more yet to be learnt out there in the world. So this could also have something to do, this could be a maturer student as well that's going out, going back to college, university, kind of looking for something deeper than what they've already found. It could also be to do with esoteric studies as well. It's something off the beaten track. It's not the norm, it's not conventional, but it is something that is kind of a calling. It's almost like it's a trying to think of the word. Oh, can't think what the word is, but it's kind of like a calling. That's probably the best way I can put it. It's like something that feels really heartfelt, and you feel that you really need to go and do it. And I think that's kind of what this is saying here. And I think it's also saying, you know, that there is a protection here, because this card also reminds me in some ways of the Page of Cups here as well. The kind of two trees, the wings here, representing these two trees here as well. So there is a protective energy here as well. So it's finding your own light in the darkness. I always think that the cave represents the inner part of ourselves, the more subconscious, the deeper side of ourselves. And it's to do with higher learning, wanting to know more. So that's what's moving in. And originally when I did this reading, I pulled extra cards, and the extra cards that I pulled were this one first of all, which is the 10 of Wands, which sits over the top of this Page of Cups, which is all about stirrings of new beginnings, stirrings of finding yourself, really. This cup, this card, and how he's staring into this cup, he's finding himself within that cup and making himself ready to go out into the world. But this card here says to me, as the 10 of Wands, that there's a kind of oppressive feeling here. There's a kind of feeling of not wanting to not wanting to move beyond this. It's like this point, it's because it's a 10, it is a final ending. And I get the feeling again with this whole reading that this is kind of about leaving something behind because of this here, and leaving the home is what I really get here, is leaving the home behind. And this person here doesn't want to do that. He's feeling like, you know, can I do that? Is that a possibility? All of these flames here represent creative energy. So in many ways he's got a lot of creative, passionate, or he or she, whoever this relates to, and it probably relates to both genders, so neither, it doesn't matter which, but in this particular card it is a masculine energy, in the sense that that's what it represents here. But this is about, yeah, a feeling of stuckness, of not being able to go beyond that. All of this is kind of erupting around them. They're feeling this kind of creative urge and this creative need to do something, but at the same time they're not really wanting to follow through with it. And the reason that I say that as well is because the 10 of Pentacles comes out after that, over the top of the Page of Pentacles, which represents all these little seedlings in the future, and the 10 of Pentacles really is the home. It really is the family unit, the security, the safety, the protective energy here with the trees. This is what I think it represents, these kind of two pillars here, these conventional family of the mother and the father, although it doesn't have to be, but there is an element of that within this reading, of a protective parenting. And it may be that the parents also are finding it difficult to let this child go off and do what it wants to do, because what it wants to do may not be something that they would maybe approve of even, in the sense of it's not conventional. It's not something that is, it's not like going out and learning higher maths, or, you know, this is something off the beaten track, like I say. It could relate to ecology, or any of the kind of more alternative styles that are out there now. But it may be it doesn't kind of, you know, it's not what this family unit are used to. So with the 10 of Wands and the 10 of Pentacles as well, this is saying that there is a completion here. There is something here that is closing out. There is something that's coming to an end here. And then I put another card over the top of the 6 of Swords, and we got the 5 of Wands. And the 5 of Wands to me is about battling our own demons, our own dragons, because this fleece here is what Jason, in this particular story, this is Jason and the Argonauts and the golden fleece, and he has to go and battle the dragon in order to win this fleece here. And the fleece turns up again here in this 10 of Wands, and it's almost like he's got his prize, he's done what he needed to do, he's been on his journey, his boat is here in the background, and this is his kind of, for me, representation of life and kind of the knocks and the hardships that we go through sometimes. And he has reached the end of this journey, and now he doesn't know what he's going to do next. It's like he's kind of put all his energy and his time and his passion into this journey of discovering not only the golden fleece, but having to kind of battle through it as well, having to kind of fight his own demons, fight his own, it's the inner struggle of our own self-worth in some ways, because it kind of speaks to, for me, the monster under the bed, that as a child we don't want to get into bed at times because this monster becomes so big in our own head. Kind of this energy here, that we kind of create something out of nothing, and it actually stops us from being able to achieve what we want to achieve, which as a child can be kind of just as simple as getting into bed. And so we have to get to the point where we face that dragon, otherwise we're not going to sleep. We have to face the monster under the bed, otherwise we're just going to end up causing problems for our parents and for ourselves. And so it is about like looking under that bed and seeing that, you know, there is no monster there. And it's very similar here as well. It's overcoming your fears, overcoming your fears. And I feel in many ways that this is what this story is about here, that there is somebody who's trying to overcome their fears in order to be able to step out into the world. And another reason why I say that is because the Fool has come out with the Hierophant, and the Fool is saying very similar energies again. If you look at the cave here, there's a cave in the background there as well, and the cave to me represents the inner, the kind of safety, the womb. So for me this would be like the home, and this young character here is being has reached a point, shall I say, has reached a point in his life where he has to leave this. He knows that he can't stay here because he's not going to grow. He's not going to learn any more than he's already learnt. But he needs to take that leap into the unknown, and that's really the issue here, is the kind of leap into what you don't understand and what you don't know. It's like leaving that safety, that protection, and trusting something bigger than ourselves when we step outside that door. Even though, you know, the protection is there, and there's always somebody to call back and fall back on, it's still that first initial jump, that first initial leap that is the hardest. But he can't stay here, and he can't kind of go back down the way he's come either, like, because this is just his childhood in this sense. Because, and if he goes back down, he would just end up going over the same old path. So he can't do that either. So he has got to the point where he has to take this leap. He has to see where he's going to end up. And this is just the beginning of the journey. And so in order to learn and to grow and to expand and utilize our skills, because the Pentacles is often a very kind of earthy, I'd say hands-on type energy. They're skilled people. They like to use their hands, typically kind of carpenters and those kind of people, rather than using their intellect as much. These are more people who want to do things that are more down to earth and more grounded. And it says to me that he's reached a certain point, but now he knows that, or whoever, whether it's male or female, again, it doesn't matter, but this person knows that this is what they have to do. They have to take that leap. And the next card I pulled out over the Six of Wands and the Five of Wands, and we got the Eight of Swords. And the Eight of Swords is literally a feeling of being trapped. But in many ways, again, it's like this. It's kind of self-oppression, self-trapped, stopping yourself from doing something. And over the top of the Six, with the Six here, as I was saying earlier, the kind of reluctance to move forward, the not wanting to leave the nest, this kind of security that's there. But the interesting thing for me about this card is that in this particular situation, this character here, who finds himself caught between Apollo, the sun god, and the Furies that Apollo has released on him, he actually can just walk past this. He can even walk away from it. He can even walk out the back. There's nothing stopping him out the back. There's no cage, if you like. It just, the swords only go a certain way round, but he's so convinced that he's trapped, that his own mind allows him to stay in that feeling of being trapped. So it is self-entrapment, pretty similar to this 10 here of self-oppression. And it kind of talks about somebody who doesn't have a lot of belief in themselves, I would say, because they don't want to go out there and battle this. They're very sensitive souls, you know. They're very kind of, yeah, sensitive, and would rather live in a fantasy world and create their own fantasy around them, rather than actually face the reality. And reality to them is a very harsh place to be. So in many ways they kind of build up this trap for themselves. But the final card that came out, which I put over the top of the Fool and the Hierophant, is the Seven of Wands. And the Seven of Wands speaks to me about a situation of, where the Five of Wands speaks about a situation of inner struggle and having to battle your own self, your own beliefs and your own worth in many ways. The 7 is talking about standing up to other people's beliefs, other people's ideas of how things should be or shouldn't be. And in this particular reading, I also get the feeling that it could be somebody trying to get somebody else to do something that they think is good for them, and they know that it's what they need to do, but this other person doesn't particularly want to do it. They don't want to take that leap. They don't want to move beyond that. I'm feeling trapped. And it could also relate to the other way round as well. There could also be somebody who wants to move on, who wants to take that leap, but is being held back, and they feel that they're trapped because of their family commitments, because their family has some tradition and that they're breaking with that tradition on some level, that they're not allowed to be who they really want to be, and they're being told no, you have to do it this way because this is the way the family has always done it. This is our family unit, and you can't break through that. You can't walk away from that. So it could also be to do with tradition as well, and this feeling that this poor character here is having to stand up and actually battle for their right to go and do what it is that they actually want to do in their life. But like I said, there could also be the other way around as well. There could be parents out there who are trying to get their child to do something that they know is going to be really good for their child in the long run, but their child is kind of putting up a resistance here and saying, you know, I don't want to leave the family home even, you know, the kind of comfort and the security, and they've got quite used to being taken care of and looked after, and that's kind of where they want to be. So there could even be somebody who goes off and kind of tries to come back again because they feel like a fish out of water in the big wide world. So that could also be another scenario that is taking place here. But that's the kind of energy that I'm picking up on for this reading, Capricorn, and I'm hoping that it's actually going to come out this time. For anybody, this is a general reading, as I said. I have got one more card left, but for anybody who's interested in having a private or personal reading with me and would like to find out more about their own personal private situation, my email will be in the description box below as well. So if you send me an email, I will get back to you. So this card here is one by Esther Hicks and Joey Hicks, who Esther Hicks channels this energy known as Abraham. And the cards are Ask and It Is Given. And this card here talks of a consistent formula that gives results, gives consistent results. So it's saying if you have something that works for you, keep at it. And the message is like learning to understand the basics of mathematics and then having the successful experience of understanding the results of their applications. Once you have a formula for understanding your world that is always consistent, it will yield consistent results to you. So what it's saying is that it's easy when it comes to mathematics. As a child, we learn that 1 and 1 is always, or 1 plus 1, sorry, is always going to make 2, and 2 plus 2 will make 4, etc., etc. And it's saying that if we can find a formula in our lives that works for us as well as mathematics, then just keep applying that formula to bring in our happiness and our, because that's really what this energy is about. If you haven't heard of Abraham Hicks, I would suggest that you go online and look it up, because there's a lot of information out there and it's well worth finding out more about it. And this is card number 8 as well, and card number 8 is kind of the number of fate. It's a kind of fated situation. So those are the messages that I have for you today, Capricorn. Like I said, I did do this reading a couple of days ago, but for some strange reason it didn't actually come out in the recording. So fingers crossed, I'm hoping today that it will do. If you have liked my reading, could you please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel so that you can get future videos, and tap the bell so that you know that those videos will be coming into your inbox. All the best. Thank you very much for listening. Hopefully I'll see you next time. Take care.